Have you ever felt something off in a relationship, like the energy changed, but you can't quite explain why? Maybe it's a friend, a coworker, or even someone you love, and you start to wonder if they actually like you as much as you thought. The truth is, not everyone who smiles at you is rooting for you. Sometimes the people closest to us carry silent resentment, hidden jealousy, or quiet dislike that shows up in small, subtle ways. Today, we're going to talk about the signs that someone close to you might secretly hate you and how to recognize what your gut has been trying to tell you all along. They minimize your success in ways that make you question your own achievements. It's the subtle remarks that sound supportive on the surface, but carry an undertone that takes away from what you've earned. When you accomplish something meaningful, whether it's a promotion, a personal goal, or even something small that makes you proud, they find a way to make it seem less important. They might change the topic quickly, point out how someone else has done it better, or mention their own struggles to redirect the attention. What looks like humility on their part is often discomfort in seeing you grow. The truth is, people who secretly dislike you struggle to genuinely celebrate you because your progress reminds them of where they haven't gone yet. Instead of feeling inspired, they feel threatened. And because they can't express that directly, they hide it under backhanded compliments or silence. You'll notice it in their tone more than their words. When you talk about something exciting, their energy drops. Their eyes might shift away, their voice becomes flat, or they'll say something like, "Oh, that's nice," before steering the conversation elsewhere. They'll pretend to be happy for you, but the enthusiasm never matches the moment. It's like they're there physically, but emotionally disconnected, unable to join in your joy because it doesn't benefit them. Sometimes they'll even make your achievement seem like luck rather than effort, suggesting that you just got lucky or had it easier than others. That's how they protect their ego from feeling inadequate, by making your effort seem less impressive. Another way this shows up is when they subtly compete with you. You might mention something positive that happened to you, and within seconds, they'll share something about themselves that tops your story. If you got recognized at work, they suddenly have a story about how they once did something similar but bigger. It's not about connection, it's about control. They can't stand not being the one in the spotlight, so they find ways to take it back. Over time, this kind of behavior chips away at your excitement. You start second-guessing whether you should even share your wins because you know it won't be met with genuine happiness. That's what hidden resentment does. It silences joy. In deeper relationships, it becomes even more damaging because you expect those closest to you to be your biggest supporters. When they minimize your growth, it feels personal. They might say things like, "Don't get too comfortable," or "Let's see how long that lasts," pretending it's advice or realism when it's really envy. They frame it as helping you stay grounded, but in reality, they're trying to pull you back down to their level. People who secretly dislike you don't want you to fail completely. They just don't want you to rise too far above them. They want you close enough to keep an eye on, but not far enough that they feel left behind. Even in moments where you need encouragement, they'll find a way to withhold it. They don't openly discourage you, but they won't uplift you either. Their support feels conditional, like it's offered only when it doesn't make them uncomfortable. You might notice that when others praise you in their presence, they act distant or change the subject quickly. If they do compliment you, it's often followed by something that balances it out, a reminder of your flaws or a small criticism wrapped in humor. Over time, their pattern of minimizing your success becomes a quiet form of sabotage. It keeps you questioning yourself, wondering if maybe you're overreacting, but your intuition knows the truth. People who secretly resent you reveal themselves not in big moments of confrontation, but in small moments of indifference. They may never say it out loud, but their actions speak for them, showing that your happiness makes them uneasy and your growth reminds them of what they haven't achieved. They disguise insults as jokes because it gives them the freedom to express hostility without taking responsibility for it. It's a form of manipulation wrapped in humor, a way to hurt you while pretending it's harmless. You'll notice it in the small comments that sting but are brushed off with laughter. They say something personal, something that hits a sensitive spot, and when you react, they act surprised, pretending you're too serious or can't take a joke. That's how they protect themselves from accountability while still getting the satisfaction of tearing you down. This behavior is common among people who secretly dislike you because they know they can't openly express their resentment without looking cruel, so they hide it behind playfulness. It's not about humor, it's about power, and they use that mask to make you doubt your own feelings. At first, it might seem harmless because everyone jokes from time to time, but their jokes always have a pattern. They don't target just anyone, and they don't poke fun at themselves. Their humor always seems to find you. They remember the things you've shared in confidence, the insecurities you've tried to hide, and they use them as punchlines. When they tease you, there's a sharpness underneath the laughter, a tone that makes you feel exposed rather than understood. They might call it friendly banter, but there's nothing friendly about being made to feel small in front of others. These jokes are carefully designed to get under your skin while keeping them safe behind the defense of comedy. You might notice they especially do this when others are around. It's like they enjoy the reaction more than the joke itself. They love the attention, the laughter that comes at your expense, and the way it makes them look confident or witty. But what's really happening is that they're trying to gain control of the social dynamic. They use humor as a weapon to subtly lower your status while elevating theirs. When the group laughs, you're left standing there with a forced smile, unsure whether to defend yourself or laugh along to avoid tension. And when you do call them out, they twist it into something harmless, saying you're too sensitive or can't take a bit of teasing. That response isn't an apology. It's a way to make you feel guilty for being hurt. Over time, this kind of behavior wears you down. You start to anticipate it, bracing yourself for the next sarcastic jab or joke that's aimed just a little too personally. You might even find yourself laughing along with them just to keep the peace. That's what makes this behavior so toxic. It forces you to participate in your own disrespect. They create an environment where you feel like speaking up makes you look weak, so you learn to swallow the discomfort and pretend it's fine. That's exactly what they want, because silence keeps them in control. The more you let it slide, the more permission they have to continue. Their humor also changes depending on who's watching. Around others, they might tease you more aggressively because they know you won't want to make a scene. In private, they might do it subtly, testing your reaction. It's all about maintaining an upper hand, showing that they can say things to you that no one else would dare. What makes it even more confusing is that sometimes they'll follow the insult with something nice, like a compliment or a laugh, to blur the line between affection and mockery. That's how they keep you guessing about their intentions. They make sure their words can always be explained away as harmless, but their tone, timing, and repetition expose what they really feel. Eventually, you begin to realize that these jokes aren't random. They're targeted. They pick at parts of you they know will hurt, things you've told them in trust. That's the clearest sign of hidden resentment. Someone who truly cares wouldn't use your vulnerability as entertainment. They wouldn't find humor in what you've struggled with or use your honesty against you, but people who secretly hate you do it because it's the only way they can release what they're holding in. They can't say what they truly feel, so they turn it into sarcasm and laughter. Every time you laugh along, it reinforces their belief that they can disrespect you without consequence. And every time you stay silent, it becomes easier for them to do it again. They only show up when it benefits them, and that truth becomes clearer the more you start paying attention to their patterns instead of their words. When you're in need, when life feels heavy, or when you have nothing to offer, they suddenly become distant. Their presence fades, their calls stop, and their support turns into silence. But the moment you're doing well or you have something that can benefit them, attention, access, opportunity, or even emotional energy, they reappear as if nothing happened. These are the people who measure relationships by convenience, not connection. They invest only when the return feels valuable to them. Their loyalty isn't rooted in care. It's a transaction that serves their self-interest. They might claim to be there for you, but their actions reveal that they only show up when it's easy or advantageous. At first, it's hard to notice because they can appear caring and dependable on the surface. They might even use the right words, telling you how much they value the friendship or how proud they are of you. But when life tests you, when you go through something that requires genuine empathy, they vanish. They become unavailable, too busy, too distracted, or too caught up in their own lives. You start to realize that the connection feels one-sided, that you've been showing up for them far more than they've ever shown up for you. They're the type who call when they need a favor, seek advice when they're struggling, or want emotional reassurance when they're hurting. Yet when it's your turn to lean on them, they offer excuses instead of effort. They have a way of making you feel used without ever openly admitting it. You'll notice they often appear at the high points of your life, when things are going right, when you're getting attention, or when you have something exciting happening. They love to be associated with your success because it makes them feel closer to something valuable. But their presence is never about celebrating you. It's about what they can gain from standing beside you. Whether it's social visibility, connections, or the satisfaction of being around someone doing well, their involvement has strings attached. When those strings no longer lead to benefit, they quietly pull away. Their interest fades as soon as they've gotten what they wanted. This kind of relationship creates emotional imbalance. You start to feel like you're constantly giving time, support, energy, but getting very little back. They might call it friendship, but it doesn't feel mutual. Real relationships are built on consistency, not convenience. People who genuinely care don't pick and choose when to be present. They're there through the highs and lows, not just when the situation suits them. But those who secretly dislike you won't risk investing when there's no reward. They want the appearance of closeness without the responsibility of effort. That's why they're quick to disappear when you're struggling. Your vulnerability doesn't interest them. It makes them uncomfortable because it requires empathy they don't want to give. When you start setting boundaries or stop being as available, they begin to show frustration. They'll act confused or guilt trip you, saying you've changed or become distant. What they're really upset about is losing access to the benefits you provided. They mistake boundaries for rejection because your distance removes their advantage. That's when their true intentions surface most clearly. They stop pretending and reveal the transactional nature of their connection. They might even talk about you differently, downplaying the relationship or criticizing you to others. It's their way of rewriting the story so they don't have to face the truth that their involvement was conditional. Over time, their pattern of selective presence becomes predictable. You can almost sense when they'll reach out, always when they need something, never when you do. It's emotionally draining to deal with someone who only values you for what you can offer. You begin to see that their interest wasn't in you as a person, but in the role you played in their life. Once you stop fulfilling that role, they lose motivation to stay close. And that's how you know the connection was never built on real care or mutual respect. It was built on convenience disguised as companionship, and the moment it stopped serving them, they quietly stepped away as if your absence didn't matter at all. They twist your words and question your intentions because it's easier for them to manipulate the truth than face their own insecurities. Every time you speak honestly or try to express how you feel, they find a way to turn your words into something you didn't mean. They take what you say, pull it apart, and reshape it into something that makes you look unreasonable. You might start a conversation to solve an issue, but by the time it ends, you're the one apologizing, wondering how things got turned around. This kind of behavior isn't accidental. It's a deliberate way of controlling the narrative. People who secretly dislike you don't want to see you stand in confidence, so they use confusion as a weapon. The more they twist your truth, the more they keep you questioning yourself. They'll often act like they don't understand your point, even when you're being completely clear. You'll find yourself repeating and re-explaining what you meant, only for them to act like you're overreacting or being dramatic. This is how they drain your emotional energy, by making you defend your own words. It's not that they can't understand you, it's that they don't want to. Understanding you would mean acknowledging your feelings, and that threatens their control. Instead, they flip things around, accusing you of having bad intentions or exaggerating situations. You might tell them something hurt you, and they'll say you're too sensitive or trying to make them feel guilty. It's never about what they did. It's always about how you reacted. That's how they shift responsibility away from themselves while making you question your own perception. Their pattern of twisting your words becomes more subtle over time. They remember small details from past conversations and bring them up out of context to prove you wrong. They might even repeat things you said in a completely different tone, making you sound harsh or selfish. When you try to clarify, they insist that's how you said it, forcing you to doubt your own memory. This is a form of gaslighting, psychological manipulation, designed to make you second-guess your reality. When someone secretly resents you, they use this tactic to weaken your confidence and make you feel unstable. The more unsure you feel, the easier it is for them to control the emotional balance in the relationship. They also have a habit of questioning your motives. If you do something kind, they'll imply there's an agenda behind it. If you try to set a boundary, they'll accuse you of being cold or selfish. No matter what you do, they'll find a way to paint it in a negative light. This keeps you trapped in a constant need to explain yourself, to prove that your intentions are pure. But no matter how much you explain, they always find another angle to doubt you. They want you to stay defensive because when you're explaining, you're not observing. And as long as you're on the defensive, they maintain control. People like this often disguise their manipulation as honesty, claiming they're just being straightforward or trying to clear the air, but in truth, they're rewriting the situation to protect their ego. You'll start to notice that conversations with them leave you exhausted. They drain you emotionally because you never feel heard. You walk away questioning whether you said something wrong, even when you know your heart was in the right place. They feed off that confusion because it gives them emotional leverage. It allows them to stay in the position of power while you carry the guilt. In their mind, if they can make you feel like the problem, they never have to confront their own bitterness or jealousy. This behavior often stems from insecurity. They can't handle being seen as flawed, so they twist reality until they come out looking innocent. Eventually, you start recognizing the cycle. It's always the same. You express a feeling, they twist it, they act offended, and you end up apologizing. This pattern teaches you to stay silent just to avoid conflict. You stop sharing what you really think or feel because you know they'll turn it against you, and that silence is exactly what they want. It gives them control over the emotional tone of the relationship. They get to define what's true, what's acceptable, and what's worth discussing. When someone constantly questions your intentions, it's not because they're seeking clarity, it's because they don't want you to trust your own clarity. They'd rather keep you doubting yourself so they can keep rewriting the story to fit their version of the truth. They celebrate your setbacks silently because your struggles give them a sense of relief they can't express out loud. It's the quiet satisfaction that comes from seeing you stumble, the hidden pleasure they feel when life doesn't go your way. You'll notice it in subtle ways. The delayed response to your bad news, the flat tone when they say they're sorry, the way their sympathy feels rehearsed instead of real. They might even offer comforting words, but their eyes tell a different story. There's a calmness in their reaction that doesn't match the situation, like they're secretly at ease with your pain. People who secretly dislike you don't want to see you destroyed, but they don't want to see you thrive either. They want you stable enough to still be around, but struggling enough to not surpass them. You can feel it when you're vulnerable. When things are going wrong for you, they suddenly seem more confident, more present, more talkative. They show up not to support you, but to observe. They want to be close enough to your pain to feel comforted by it. When they offer help, it's not to lift you up, but to make sure they stay in control of how far you recover. They might give advice that sounds kind, but carries a tone of quiet superiority, reminding you that they've got it together while you're falling apart. Their comfort isn't about healing. It's about positioning themselves above you emotionally. They feel powerful when you're weak, validated when you're uncertain, and peaceful when you're hurting because it reassures them that your strength was never permanent. When something unfortunate happens, like a loss, failure, or disappointment, pay attention to their reaction. A genuine friend feels your pain almost as their own. Their first instinct is to comfort, not compare. But someone who secretly hates you reacts differently. Their face might show sympathy, but there's a spark in their eyes that betrays the words coming out of their mouth. They'll say they're sorry for what happened, but somehow weave the conversation back to themselves or even highlight how they predicted something like this might occur. They love moments where they can subtly suggest they were right about you, that they saw it coming. It's a quiet form of emotional dominance, reminding you that while you were confident, they were cautious, and now life has proven them right. These people thrive in your vulnerable moments because it feeds their hidden insecurities. When you're strong, successful, or full of life, it forces them to confront their own stagnation. But when you're struggling, it relieves that discomfort. They no longer feel overshadowed. They might even reach out more during your hard times, checking in often, asking questions that sound caring but are really meant to collect details about your pain. The more they know, the more control they feel. It's like your struggles give them emotional oxygen, something to talk about, something that makes them feel better about their own shortcomings. Their comfort with your hardship isn't compassion. It's curiosity mixed with concealed contentment. Over time, you'll start recognizing the pattern. Whenever you succeed, their energy shifts. They become quiet, distracted, or overly critical. But when you fail, they're suddenly attentive, asking questions, showing concern, even offering advice. It's not the help of someone who wants you to grow. It's the engagement of someone who enjoys watching you stumble. They might say they're proud of you for trying, but the tone feels hollow, like they're just glad it didn't work out too well. They might even gossip about your setbacks behind your back, phrasing it as concern when it's really satisfaction. They get to look like the caring one while secretly feeding on your difficulties. What makes this so hard to spot is how convincingly they play the role of support. They know how to say the right words, how to look empathetic, how to appear invested in your recovery. But true care is felt, not performed. You can feel when someone's presence brings calm versus when it brings tension. The ones who secretly celebrate your pain always leave a strange heaviness behind. It's the energy of someone who's enjoying your vulnerability but pretending not to. Their silence during your success and attentiveness during your pain tell you everything you need to know. When life knocks you down, they don't rush to lift you. They linger to watch how long it takes you to get back up. They thrive in that space between your fall and your rise because it reminds them that for once, they're not the ones standing in your shadow.